What up folks, Alex here, and there's a new version of the Blackmagic Camera App for Android. They just released version 1.1, which adds a bunch of handy new updates and features. And probably more importantly, it adds support for a handful of new devices. Wahey! So it's actually only been a couple of weeks since this Android version of the Blackmagic Camera App was introduced. Lots of people were disappointed because not that many handsets were supported. Now there's a few more. We now have support for the Xiaomi 13 and Xiaomi 14, the OnePlus 11 and OnePlus 12. I'm going to assume that also includes the Pro models, but I'm not too sure. It just says OnePlus 11 and OnePlus 12. The Samsung S21 and S22. Again, I don't know whether that includes like the Plus versions and the Ultras, but I'm going to assume that it does. And then we've also got support for the Google Pixel 6, 6 Pro and 6A phones. Now, obviously, when it was originally released, it already supported things like the S23 and 24, as well as the Google Pixel 7 and 8, I think it was. So if you're on one of those supported devices, all you need to do, you open up the Play Store, you search for the Blackmagic Camera App, and Blackmagic Camera will appear, and then you can just install it from there. Now, if you're totally new to this and you want to know what I'm talking about, basically, Blackmagic made an app for phones. It originally came out on the Apple iPhone about a year ago. Now it's available on Android. What does it do? Well, it's a totally free, which is the first thing to note. It's completely free for you to download if you're on a supported device, and it adds Blackmagic's UI and general camera controls to your phone. Now, you don't get any sort of log video formats or anything too fancy, but you get loads of false colors. You can use sort of audio monitoring. You can change your frame rate, change your resolution, and do all that sort of fun stuff. So it just gives you more control, generally better control over video compared to your native camera app. The other real killer function is the ability to use the Blackmagic Cloud workflow. So as you record videos on your phone, it will automatically create proxies, upload them to the cloud, so as soon as you open up Davinci Resolve, you can start editing. So it's not going to give you better footage necessarily, it's just going to give you more control, a better UI, and access to the cloud workflow. And it's free, so why not? Download it, give it a go. If you don't like it, uninstall it. Simple. But as mentioned, there is now a version 1.1 available. So what does this add? Well, I've got the phone hooked up here so we can go through some of this live. First up, we've got HDMI monitoring. So if you've got an external display, you can now connect this via HDMI and run through. So under the monitor option within settings, we've got HDMI out, and we can have it to mirror the display, or we can have it as a clean feed. And then we've got a bunch of options like clean feed, status text, display 3D LUTs, zebras, focus peaking, all that sort of good stuff. So you can rig this up, you can have it just properly rigged up if you really want to, and have an external display, which can just make your life a little bit easier. Seems like a lot of effort for me to be recording with your phone, but it's an option, so it's cool that they've added that in. They've added 3D LUTs for recording and monitoring. So this was missing from the initial version, so it's cool that they've added it. Under the settings, once again, we now have a LUTs section. We've got a LUT selection where we can import or export the LUT, and we've got an option to display the LUT or record the LUT to the clip. So if you've created a LUT using your footage, so you've done a bit of a color grade in Davinci Resolve, or you've downloaded someone else's LUT, for example, you can export it from Davinci Resolve, upload it to the camera app, and then you can either have it to just be displayed in the preview, so you know what it's going to look like when you actually get it into Resolve, or you can even have that LUT to be baked into your footage, so then technically you won't need to do any color grading at all, because your LUT will be baked in from the very beginning. So again, cool option, glad that they've added that in. We've got pull focus transition control. So if we change this from autofocus to manual focus, we can then set 3 different focal points, and we can change the transition timing so that we can basically pull focus between these different focal points, which is kind of cool. We've got the ability to dim the screen while recording. So if the screen's a bit bright, you can have it to automatically dim. That will stop it from getting hot and potentially save you some battery as well as just not blinding yourself if you're in a dark environment. They've added optional image noise reduction and image sharpening. So again, in the settings under camera, we have reduced noise and increase sharpening. So if we want to have some automatic noise reduction added, or we want to increase the sharpening, we can adjust those settings as required. We've got an audio level pop-up. So in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got my audio levels. If I give that a click, that would just pop full screen, like so we can just do a better job of monitoring our audio if we want to. We've got the ability to not generate a proxy while recording. So kind of the main purpose of this app, or one of the main features of this app, as mentioned earlier, is it will automatically create proxies for you, which can then be uploaded to the Blackmagic Cloud. If you don't want that to happen, again, you want to save battery life, or you just don't need those proxies, again, within settings, if we go to media, there's an option, record proxy. We can just toggle that off, so it will only record the original files and won't do any kind of proxy generation for us. And last but not least, I think this is a really, really big one and actually makes the whole app far more useful. The ability to save clips to any location, including external storage. So if you've got an external SSD, like I have here, just going to plug this in. Then once again, within the settings, we go to media. We've got the option save clips to, and by default will be gallery. We can go to files and we can actually choose the destination. So this is my usually used on my Lumix SSD. I've created a folder called Samsung. We use this folder, we allow. So now when we go back to the camera app, we can see down here, I've only got 31% used. I've got 157 gig left, which means I can record for 6 hours and 25 minutes. And again, super handy. It just means you're not worrying about filling up your phone with loads of video. And it also means when you actually get back to your computer, it's way easier because you just unplug your SSD, plug that back in, relink the clips, and off you go. You're editing with the camera originals, which again works really well with the cloud, with the proxies. You edit on the proxies, everything's good to go, and then you plug your SSD in when you come to actually deliver, relink the clips, and when you render it will use the originals rather than the proxies. So it's all about workflow. It's super handy to be able to plug your SSD in. So there you go. So anyway, there you go, enough waffling. There's a new update to the camera app, version 1.1, and it's available on more phones. So if that sounds good to you, let me know your thoughts and feelings down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Happy mobile filmmaking and editing and whatever else you want to do. Take it easy. I'll see you next time.